All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down a really fascinating and very modern conspiracy theory, one that started with something as simple as the weather and, well, spiraled into a wild story of secret plots and hidden dangers. This is the anatomy of Fogvid 24.
So it all begins with a scene you've probably experienced yourself. You wake up, pull back the curtains, and the world is just gone. It's replaced by this thick, damp, heavy fog. You can almost feel that cold air on your skin. Everything sounds muffled, everything looks blurry. It's mysterious, maybe even a little bit creepy. And right there, that's the question that lit the fuse. In the corners of the internet, this simple, everyday observation, wow, it's foggy out, started to morph into something way more sinister. What if what you're seeing, what you're breathing, isn't weather at all? Okay, let's set the stage here. The time is late 2024, rolling into early 2025. This really persistent fog settles over parts of North America and the UK. And it's not just any fog. It sticks around for way longer than usual. It looks thick. It looks heavy, especially at night under the glow of the streetlights. People started to notice, and more importantly, they started to talk. And that talk, it didn't take long for it to snowball into a full-blown conspiracy theory, one that even got its own name, Fogvid 24. So let's look at what people were actually claiming, because the ideas being thrown around were pretty dramatic, to say the least. So what is Fogvid 24, really? Well, at its core, it's the belief that this isn't just weather. It's a weapon. The whole idea is that the fog was man-made, that it was released on purpose, turning a totally natural event into a deliberate act with some kind of secret, sinister goal. And the alleged reasons behind it? They cover just about every fear you can imagine. The claims ranged from the scary and physical, like a chemical or biological agent making people sick, all the way to the political. Things like microscopic smart dust for mass surveillance, or a tool to keep people indoors and stop protests. Some even said it was a literal smokescreen to hide secret troop movements. Seriously, the theory had an answer for almost any anxiety you could think of. So, you've got these incredible claims swirling all over the internet. And that's when meteorologists and public health officials had to step in and offer a very different explanation. Let's put the science head-to-head with the smokescreen. And this is where it all becomes crystal clear. You see the claims on one side, engineered dust, bioweapons. But the scientific evidence on the other side, it was pretty straightforward. Meteorologists pointed out this was a classic temperature inversion, basically a lid of warm air trapping cold, moist, and polluted air close to the ground. That's it. And the coughs and sore throats people were feeling, yeah, those lined up perfectly with the usual winter illnesses, which always get worse in cold, stagnant air. And that weird, spooky look of the fog, that was just what happens when high humidity and particles mix with the glow of streetlights. Now, this is so important. The physical feelings were real. Nobody was making up that their chest felt tight or that the air seemed gross. Heavy fog, especially smog, is genuinely uncomfortable and can make you feel unwell. But the theory made this gigantic leap from this feels bad to this is a secret government attack. And there was just zero evidence to back up that leap. Which brings us to the biggest question of all, right? If the science was so clear, why on earth did so many people believe this stuff? What were the ingredients that let a theory like this spread so fast and so far? You can almost think of it like a 4-step recipe for a conspiracy. Step 1, you start with the visual ambiguity of fog itself. It's naturally mysterious and a little spooky. Step 2, you add in genuine health concerns. People felt sick and they wanted a reason why. Step 3, you mix in a healthy dose of pre-existing mistrust in the government and other official sources. And for the final step, you pour it all onto social media, where dramatic videos and algorithms create these perfect echo chambers that just amplify the fear. It's a really potent combination. And we have to understand, theories like this aren't just harmless fun online. They have a real cost. They spill over into the real world and cause tangible, negative problems that affect every single one of us, whether you believe the theory or not. First off, it just destroys trust. It takes that general skepticism we talked about and sharpens it into a weapon against the very experts, the doctors, the scientists, that we actually need to rely on, especially during a real crisis. It just pulls at the threads of the social fabric. It also works as a massive distraction. Think about it.
All the time and energy spent arguing about a secret fog weapon is energy that isn't being used to talk about the actual problem of air pollution or how to improve healthcare for people with breathing issues. We end up chasing ghosts while the real problems just get worse. And finally, there's the direct human cost. It just takes a psychological toll. I mean, living in constant fear that the very air you breathe is part of some sinister plot, that causes incredible anxiety and stress. It makes people feel powerless and paranoid, right in their own homes. So if these theories are so damaging, what's the antidote? How do we, as a society, learn to see through this metaphorical fog of misinformation and actually find some clarity? Well, the solutions are all about being proactive. It starts with experts communicating clearly and transparently. Don't just say it's fog, show people the weather models, share the air quality data. It also means we need better media literacy so people can learn to spot sensationalism for themselves. And maybe most importantly, it requires empathy. You have to acknowledge that people's fears are real, even if the cause isn't, without mocking them for looking for answers. And this really is the core lesson of the whole Fogvid 24 saga. In our information age, we have more visibility into events than ever before in human history. But that doesn't automatically mean we have more understanding. Just because you can see the fog doesn't mean you see it clearly. Which leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We know the science of what causes fog. That part's easy. The much, much harder challenge is understanding what causes fear. And in this world we live in now, learning to tell the difference between the two might be one of the most important skills we can have.